Hola, tudo bem você? How are you guys doing? Let me do a sound check. I'm having some serious technical difficulties over here. I don't know, they getting some more the undersea cables or what is going on right now, but my internet is it's not working out. So let me just do this sound check real quick, make sure we are on track. Let's see, sound check, sound check. Yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go. Whew, sound check, going good. Okay, so welcome back, guys. Another day of reading. Had a really nice time with you guys last night. Got some nice messages, so thank you again for reaching out. I appreciate you guys who were there listening in. Um, I really appreciate getting the feedback because it's like, okay, yeah, someone is like listening to this, someone is like reflecting back to me some of the thoughts and things that we read, and also that some of the things that I discussed. I really wish there was a way to have like some interactive videos. Maybe that's going to come at some point, but for now it seems good. So yeah, we're going back again to this book by William Cooper. It is called Dark Psychology and Manipulation. And you might say, well, why are we reading this for a reparenting project or a podcast? It's again because we cannot deny the nature of the world that we live in. You cannot. Now, I'm not saying that you need to follow these principles or is to learn to live this way, but you can never protect yourself if you're unaware of how people are living. Some certain other people, many people, it seems these days. And so I shared this in the hopes to help you with self-protection, self-defense, gaining awareness of how the world actually works. Because just because you're a good-hearted person does not mean that everyone sees the world and operates in the same way that you do. And so that's kind of the reasoning why I chose this book, in case you're having some questions or concerns or doubts. Like, well, why would he be reading this? Like, what is the point of this? That's the reason why. Because, if you grew up with dysfunctional if you grew up in a dysfunctional family system, they actually most likely, if you had two narcissistic parents in this case, they trained you to be abused. They conditioned you into abuse. And so that's why when you go out, I think this thing is focusing on, yeah, I think maybe it's getting better now. I don't even know. I should have wiped the thing. Let me grab the thing. Basically, what I was trying to say is that if you have two narcissistic parents, they've basically conditioned you to be abused. They've conditioned you to accept abuse. They've conditioned you to spend your whole life being shit on and abused, used, manipulated, disregarded, belittled, destroyed by other people. That's how they've trained you if you've had two narcissistic parents. So that's why I'm sharing this information with you. Not because I want you to go and to start manipulating and, treating people like shit, but because you need to gain the awareness. Because if your parents were the only ones in your life who programmed you that specific way, you need to kind of like wake up, understand how your parents were operating, how that works. And then sorry guys, my eyes are like 1 year later now. I'm still having a lot of difficulty with my eyes in terms of the vision, so I cannot really see what is focused or not. But as long as you can hear me, I guess that's the most important. But anyway, going back to the point is, if you have been programmed or conditioned to accept or expect abuse, and then simultaneously you don't have anyone in your life who is like watching out for you, helping you understand, uh, potholes or things that you might be missing, understandings that you don't have. There's going to be a lot of holes in your self-protection mechanism. Not only do you have holes in your self-protection mechanism, or perhaps no protection mechanism at all, you also do not have the street smarts in order to know how to behave with other people, so that you're not giving off those signals that you are someone who is can be targeted for abuse. And so again, that's why we're going here, because in a reparenting journey, we need a holistic view of what the fuck is actually going on, not just, I feel like this focus thing is getting on my nerves. Maybe I should just come closer. I don't even know. That's like too close. Anyways, guys, this camera is getting on my nerves. Yeah, but I think that's enough of that chatting. So let's go into the book now, into the reading. Yeah. Chapter 3, 8 Common Methods of Dark Psychology. In this chapter, we will center some of the most common and effective methods out there. You will find this discussion is rather detailed and aimed at providing deep insight into how these strategies are effective. You will notice some of the strategies will get into a very common rather than overt. I'll read that again. You will notice some of the methods we will get into a very I feel like there's some typo in here. I'm just making things up. You will notice some of the methods we will get into are very common and overt. They have some typos in this book. I need to send the I need to send him an email or something because this is the second typo I also saw too last night. Anyway, rather than overt, while others are rather subtle and go unnoticed. In fact, some of these tactics are so subtle that you don't even know they are there, but they are. Deception through lying. Regardless of a manipulator's ultimate objective, lying is almost always their favorite go-to maneuver. In a manner of speaking, it is the foundation of their playbook. Manipulators will often resort to lies to gain any kind of advantage. Pathological liars are those who compulsively lie all the time, even if there's no need. When a manipulator is deceptive, it is because they realize that the lies go much better than facts. There are several deceptions the manipulator can use to help them achieve their ultimate goals. First, they are flat-out lies. If the victim doesn't know any better, they will fall for these ruses. The deception takes place as a target is simply misled by the false information. This is pretty straightforward. Things change when the manipulator seeks to cleverly disguise lies by wrapping them up in the context in which they may seem accurate but are truly false. The phenomenon known as fake news comes to mind. In fake news, the manipulator will present fraudulent information, which is not known to be true, but also not known to be untrue. So the target cannot distinguish fact from fiction. The manipulator does everything to persuade others that they are sincere, while the information presented seems credible. In the end, the victim has no choice but to go along unless they are willing to do their own research to determine if the manipulator is truly lying or being truthful. What makes fake news even more powerful is when the source of information is credible. While there is always the possibility they could simply be wrong about the information they are presenting, manipulators always seek to build up as much credibility as they can. That way, victims will take them at face value. When this occurs, manipulators can become quite dangerous. Manipulators who lie to their targets are usually good at it. Targets may find it hard to tell when they are lied to. Generally, it is too late to do anything about the obvious fib by the time the subject figures it out. The only way to ensure the target eliminates their risk of being manipulated is to look out after the different characters that are specialists at trickery and deception. The manipulator lies about anything to get through, or most of the time to his targets, who won't know until it's too late to do anything about it. Lying by omission. This approach is similar to the previous one, with a few slight differences to the one above. The lie is a bit subtler because the manipulator will tell things. The manipulator will tell a few things about the truth, but will reject some key issues. They may be called faking it in some instances. The manipulator may argue that they must borrow money to get gas or food, but they really need the money to buy drugs or alcohol. In this example, they are telling the truth about needing money. What they are leaving out is the real reason why they need or want that money. This is why you need to think things through. If you just blurt out lies without actually thinking about them, then you're liable to make a mistake. If you do, you'll get caught and your cover will be blown. In order for this technique to be effective, you need to mix lies in such a way that they make sense with scrutinized and contrasted with truth. They need to be credible and presented in a manner. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Credible and presented in a manner. Now I lost my place. They need to be credible and presented in a manner that makes sense to those who will hear them. Often, manipulators add or omit details that are convenient to them. So, the information is true on the whole, but the details of the truth are twisted to suit their benefit. As the saying goes, the devil is in the details. A good means of implementing half-truths is through rumors. Nowadays, social media is a great way of spreading rumors. In fact, it's so effective that you don't really need to get people to believe in it. All you need to do is sow a seed of doubt. As long as you can get people to doubt the accuracy of the information or partially accept its validity, then you've done your job. By the time the affected parties seek to restore their reputations or set the record straight, it will have been too late. This is why you need to strike first and often. That way, the victim will have no choice but to go into crisis mode. If you fear such an attack on yourself, then you need to hit the manipulator back where it will hurt them. You need to discredit them at all cost. That will sow a seed of doubt on the source of the information and give you a fighting chance of defending yourself, which is again why we're here. Continuing with the reading, denial. Denial is a form of lying, as it entails pretending that something happened when it didn't, or trying to hide the fact that something didn't happen when it did. A simple form of denial is trying to avoid responsibility for an action. This is common when a person does something inappropriate but wishes to avoid the punishment associated with their actions. When the manipulator appears to be truly sincere in their defense, the confusion created in those around them can ultimately lead to planting the seed of doubts. This is how skillful trial attorneys are able to convince jurors that their client is not guilty. Please note that we are not saying that the accused is innocent. What we are saying is that the accused is not guilty, as the other party was unable to prove the suspect's capability beyond a reasonable doubt. Avoidance. This occurs when manipulators don't give straight answers or move discussions into different topics utilizing diversion tactics. In a dialogue, avoidance occurs by rambling. There's my cat, Kimmy. Avoidance occurs by rambling or otherwise talking endlessly in a meandering fashion. Their ultimate game is to confuse the target, which makes them question their own version of truth. When a manipulator changes the topic, it can be gradual and not entirely obvious. The manipulator takes advantage of the frustration of the other party. The best manipulators always have a way of transitioning attention from their deeds and onto what they really want to achieve. And so don't be surprised if you're dealing with a manipulator if they are constantly trying to dodge your questions or conversation. Over time, the target can find it difficult to determine what is genuine or not, since a manipulator can cause them to question every fact they think they know is valid. Next is generalizations. This is quite a short chapter, so it's not so long. The types of statement that are very dangerous insofar as they are intended to be direct attacks on a particular person or group of people. Generalizations can be very unfair, especially when they are intended to characterize a group of people in a certain manner. For instance, when you say things such as all men are or all women are, you are misrepresenting people in a truly unfair manner. Yet, when attempting to confuse and deceive people, these statements can be quite effective at creating a negative atmosphere. Manipulators love nothing more than to create animosity among people. After all, one of the fundamental tenets of manipulators is divide and conquer. Blanket statements are great at achieving that. Next is playing the victim. When we act like victims, we manipulate others. We learn that since we were kids. If your parents wanted you, I'm going to start over with that sentence. We've learned that since we were kids, if you wanted your parents to do something for you, you would lock yourself in your room crying, and this behavior certainly attracted their attention. Even today, a little victimhood will help you achieve this result. Through victimhood, you can make your person do something for you. This is one of the reasons why many people go into depression and stay in it. The feeling special in their problem allows these individuals to attract attention of others to feel important in their eyes. This is a sneaky way of manipulating others, but equally present in many people. Excuse me, guys. I have to really sneeze. My nose is. The next is generating fear. News bulletins are champions in this. News tends to terrify us because the more scared we are, the more vulnerable will be, and therefore more susceptible to manipulation. Through the use of fear, rulers have the opportunity to manage us better and keep us under control. One remedy we all have at our disposal to defend ourselves against this devious technique is not to watch the news every single day. True. By watching the news, we satisfy what is called the need for security. So watching the news and obsessively watching the news can be a sign of insecurity insofar as watching the news is a search for security. That's one thing that I never noticed before. I grew up with my being raised, I guess you could say, by my great aunt. So it's my grandmother's sister, and she used to watch a lot of the news. So I developed this pattern also, and I'm really surprised to see them worded that way. I know not to watch the news, especially not as much of the news, but I really am surprised to hear that explained in that manner. Anyway, continuing with the reading, this is in the same section, generate fear. The classic example we can say to understand this technique is when a mother educates her child. If she doesn't want her kid to do something, she tells him something on purpose that frightens him. For example, if you touch this stove, you will burn your hand and then we'll have to take you to the hospital. In that way, the child will never go near the kitchen. It is not necessary to shout or make direct threats to intimidate. Manipulators are experts at showing fear, many times imperceptibly. It is a matter of announcing dangers in the face of certain behaviors. It is a matter of announcing dangers in the face of certain behavior. They manipulate you, for example, when they tell you that you must act in a certain way. Otherwise, you will run the risk of a certain undesirable action or situation occurring. Apparently, they are appealing to reason after all. They are just trying to condition you through fear. Create insecurity. One of the most powerful techniques of mind control is to continuously question everything our interlocutor is telling us. For example, if you say to me, you know that I was able to achieve this result, I could reply, but are you sure that the result you have achieved is thanks to you? That way, if we question what others are saying to us and we do it repeatedly, eventually others will tend to question it. There are situations where our weaknesses and conviction or self love are highlighted and we take advantage of them. Negative criticism of what we do or say is a manipulative mechanism based on insecurity. It happens. It also happens when we try to. It also happens when they try to confuse us by making our mistakes look more complicated than they are, or making us believe that, um, or by making us believe that they don't know, uh, or I'm going to start over with that sentence because this is a cluster. Uh, it also happens when they try to confuse us by making our mistakes look more complicated than they are, or by making us believe that they know us better than we do. So that is the end of chapter 3, and we're being exposed to 7 different tactics that people use to manipulate. So just as a quick recap, we have deception through lying, lying by omission, which is a little bit different, denial, avoidance, generalizations, playing the victim, generating fear, and creating insecurity. All of these are different ways that people can use to manipulate people. And so I want to share this with you so you can begin to protect yourself. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys again for the next reading. Take care. Cheers. Now they changed the layout again, so the thing is at the bottom now. Jesus Christ.